Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive into the world of D&D.
I was just thinking, when you're building a character, a warrior who just thrives in chaos,
Right.
what kind of inner drive pushes them to the front lines?
That's a great question.
Is it pure, unadulterated rage? A connection to the natural world? A mystical force? Or maybe even a divine calling?
You know, that reminds me of a session I had just last week.
Yeah.
My halfling rogue was exploring an ancient temple. We stumbled into a trap, unleashed a swarm of giant spiders.
Oh, wow.
And let me tell you,
I bet.
things got a little hairy for a moment.
Yeah.
I had to use every trick in my book to survive. It made me appreciate the value of having a diverse party.
Absolutely.
With all those different strengths and abilities.
And that's where choosing the right barbarian subclass comes in.
Right.
Each path offers a completely different flavor and approach to combat.
Speaking of which, you've been digging into the 4 new subclasses from the 2024 Player's Handbook, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we've got the Path of the World Tree,
Yes.
the Zealot, the Wild Heart,
Yes.
and the classic Berserker.
Each one has its own unique appeal.
They do.
Let's start with the Path of the World Tree,
Okay.
which has been getting a lot of buzz lately.
It has?
In fact, LitRPG Reads even ranked it as the top subclass.
I can see why that battlefield teleportation ability sounds incredible.
It is.
I can imagine using it to pull a wounded ally out of harm's way or to flank an enemy for a surprise attack.
It adds a whole new layer of tactical depth to the Barbarian, allowing them to control the battlefield in ways we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
But remember, with great power comes great responsibility.
Oh.
In this case, the responsibility of managing your resources carefully. You wouldn't want to teleport yourself into the middle of a horde of enemies without a plan, would you?
Definitely not. It sounds like the World Tree Barbarian rewards strategic thinking.
Absolutely.
And careful planning.
Now, on the other end of the spectrum, we have the Path of the Zealot.
Okay.
They're the divinely touched berserkers, fueled by a higher power, capable of enduring incredible punishment.
So they're like the tanks of the barbarian world.
Exactly.
But instead of relying on heavy armor, they're drawing on divine power for protection.
Precisely. Think of them as having a direct line to their deity.
Wow.
Granting them enhanced healing, and even the ability to defy death itself.
That's amazing.
Imagine a zealot charging into a horde of enemies, shrugging off blows that would cripple a lesser warrior.
That's pretty incredible.
It is.
But even with divine intervention, wouldn't they still need a strong support network?
You bring up a good point.
Especially if they're pushing their luck with those resurrection mechanics.
Right.
What happens when the cleric runs out of healing spells?
Well, zealots are incredibly resilient. They're not invincible.
Right.
They can become reliant on their allies to keep them in the fight, especially if they're constantly pushing themselves to the limit, to the edge.
Right. So it sounds like there's a real risk-reward element to playing a zealot.
Absolutely.
You have the potential for incredible feats of strength and endurance.
Right.
But you also need to be mindful of your limits. And rely on your companions for support.
It's all about finding that balance between reckless abandon and calculated risk-taking.
Okay.
Now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about the Path of the Wild Heart.
Great.
This subclass is all about drawing power from animal totems.
Right.
Each granting unique abilities. Allowing for a truly personalized playstyle.
I love that idea. Of customizing your barbarian based on the spirits of the natural world.
It's like having a whole toolkit of options at your disposal, depending on the situation.
Exactly.
Precisely.
So need enhanced senses to track your prey.
Choose the eagle totem.
Okay.
Want to bolster your allies' defenses with a primal roar. The bear totem is your friend.
I see.
The possibilities are vast.
Right.
It really allows players to express their creativity.
That sounds amazing for players. Who love to experiment with different tactics and adapt to different challenges.
For sure.
But with so many options to choose from, wouldn't it be easy to get overwhelmed or make a less than optimal choice?
That's a valid concern. The key to mastering the Wild Heart is understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each totem.
Right.
And choosing the ones that best complement your playstyle and the needs of your party.
So it's not just about picking the coolest sounding animal.
Well,
It's about making strategic choices that will enhance your barbarian's overall effectiveness.
exactly.
Okay.
Now, let's not forget about the path of the Berserker,
Right.
the classic embodiment of unbridled fury.
Yeah. This subclass has been a staple of D&D for decades. And it's still a popular choice for players who want to unleash pure, unadulterated rage upon their enemies.
The good old-fashioned frenzy.
Exactly.
There's something undeniably satisfying about just letting loose and going all out in combat.
Absolutely.
But I remember you mentioned earlier that there's a downside to that Berserker rage.
Uh-huh.
The exhaustion mechanic.
Yeah.
Can you remind us what that entails?
Of course.
Like-
The exhaustion mechanic is a way to balance the Berserker's immense power.
Right.
Essentially, if you overuse your frenzy ability, you'll accumulate levels of exhaustion,
Right.
which can lead to a variety of penalties.
Oh,
From disadvantage on ability checks to reduced movement speed.
I see.
In extreme cases, you could even become incapacitated.
Wow.
So it's a double-edged sword.
Right.
You can unleash incredible bursts of damage,
Yeah.
but you need to be mindful of the consequences.
And pace yourself to avoid burning out too quickly.
Okay.
It sounds like mastering the Berserker is more challenging than it might appear at first glance.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
There's a certain art to knowing when to unleash that Berserker rage and when to hold back and conserve your energy. It's about finding that sweet spot between reckless abandon and strategic restraint.
Absolutely.
It's fascinating how each of these subclasses
Yeah.
offers a different perspective on the barbarian's rage.
Oh.
It's not just a one-dimensional emotion.
Right.
It can be channeled and expressed in so many different ways.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's what makes playing a barbarian so compelling.
Right.
It's about exploring those different facets of rage and finding the path that best resonates with your character's personality and motivations.
It's like choosing a different lens through which to view the world and interact with it.
Exactly.
Do you embrace the primal connection to nature,
Uh-huh.
the divine call to action, the strategic mastery of the battlefield, or the unbridled fury of the Berserker?
Each path offers a unique journey
Right.
and a chance to create a truly memorable character.
Yeah, it's amazing how these new subclasses have breathed fresh life into the barbarian class,
It really is.
giving players so many exciting options to explore.
Yeah, I think it speaks to the evolving nature of D&D itself. You know, it's a game that's constantly growing and adapting,
Right.
reflecting the creativity and imagination of its community.
And with these new subclasses,
Yeah.
the possibilities for storytelling and character development are practically endless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, imagine a campaign
Yeah.
where a world tree barbarian uses their teleportation to navigate a treacherous jungle,
Right.
leading their party to a hidden temple
Oh, wow.
filled with ancient secrets.
That'd be awesome.
Or
Yeah.
what about a zealot barbarian facing a moral dilemma?
Okay.
You know, torn between their duty to their deity and their loyalty to their companions?
Right. The dramatic tension would be incredible.
Right.
Yeah.
It's exciting to think about the challenges that dungeon masters will create to test these new barbarian abilities.
I can already picture a dungeon designed to exploit the weaknesses of a berserker,
Oh, really?
with traps that trigger exhaustion or enemies that punish reckless attacks.
That would be a true test of skill and strategy.
Absolutely.
It's wonderful to see how much thought and care went into designing these subclasses.
It really is.
Not just mechanically, but also thematically.
Oh, for sure.
Speaking of which,
Yeah.
a big shout out to LitRPG Reads and Paul Bello
Yes.
for their insightful analysis of these new barbarian paths.
Absolutely.
You know, it really helped us delve deeper into the nuances of each subclass.
Paul's insights were invaluable
Yeah.
in understanding the strengths and weaknesses of each path and how they might play out in different campaign settings.
So, to our listeners out there,
Yeah.
we want to hear from you.
Tell us.
Which barbarian subclass resonates most with you and why?
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of character would you create using these new paths?
What are you thinking?
Share your answers in the comments below.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah.
And get inspired by your creativity.
And remember,
Yeah.
no matter which path you choose, the most important thing is to have fun
Absolutely.
and embrace the spirit of adventure that makes D&D so special.
Beautifully said.
Until next time, may your rage be ever burning
Yes.
and your dice rolls ever critical.